I don't think it's running. I'll work this out. Stop streaming. Stop streaming. No, must be, but I'm not getting a time count. That's interesting. Okay, we'll carry on. Okay, so we must be here. I just saw a couple of people pop up, but normally I get a time count on this and it's not showing the time count. So hopefully it holds there. I've got a feeling something's not established properly in the system right now, and I'm not sure what it is, but we're here. It's the 3rd of January. So stand by. What was that, Jane? Okay, all right, so it did work. All right, while we're waiting for people to come in, what were all these pictures about? Well, that's about the MGR, of course, and you'll see, hang on, it comes back to this one. I've got to go right back to the beginning. This is my image of hope and the new sort of future, you know. The world's gone to shit at the moment. I'm not going to get into politics, but I'll just mention a couple of words. Iran, Venezuela, Ukraine, you know, so it goes. It's just unbelievable. So keep your fingers crossed, everybody. We're living in very interesting times. This one's very critical. I didn't do the Q&A, which actually goes back to the 26th of November. So at the end of this broadcast, I'm going to do the answers to the questions that were given to me back in November 26th. So sorry I never got that up. It's the first time that's happened. Usually I answer the questions all the time. This was just saying how the world needs the MGR, right? It's in the title there. Purely because it takes people's mind off all the other shit that's going down everywhere. And it's a lot of fun. All the entrants are a real inspiration. Promoting adventure, I reckon, is the best way to make real people, gets other people out there having a go, and they have an understanding of the real world. And the people needs real people at the moment. The world needs real people at the moment. Enough of that. Same with our other events. The GGR and the OGR, they're all really cool for the world. They create lots of opportunities for people, and it's a big deal. Anyway, thanks to Alma for supporting the Class Globe 580 for all of last year, and its support's ongoing for another 4 years now, so that helps us a little bit. So thank you for that. Looking forward to getting back to this place. Nothing more to say. It's going to be quite amazing. So, yeah, all happening. Anyway, enough of that. Back to the tracker. And I hope you're having good holidays. It's the weekend. I completely lost track of what day it was. You know, I knew it was New Year's Eve and Christmas and things like that. And then yesterday went and caught up with Ada and the family and so on, and it was quite a lot of fun. So that was cool. We sort of had the afternoon off. My eyes get a break. Although I lost my glasses, new set of glasses. Yeah, so much screen time at the moment. My eyes are getting hammered. But yesterday we had the whole afternoon off, and weird weather coming back on the drive. It was like the end of the world. It was really spooky because it was all fog. There was all ice on all the trees. All the trees were white when we went up there. When we left to come back, it was about half an hour before sunset, and it was foggy and stuff. And the fog cleared, and there was this massive cloud line, a big front or something coming through, and it was just looked really spooky and eerie and moon and blah blah blah. Anyway. Yeah, all is good, but we're 3 days into the new year already. Thanks to all the people who've been sending messages, yeah, it's going to be a big year. So a lot going on. Straight into the tracker, and then don't forget the questions after that if you've sent me questions before. So you're on the tracker, and now, oh, jeepers, maybe this is what's going on. There it is. Okay, so I'm on the tracker too, day 313. And it's a Saturday. It's the weekend. You sort of always feel relaxed on the weekend because no one's going to possibly send you emails. Okay, so nice tidy fleet, beautiful weather. Kerry's out there trying to grab onto some stronger breezes, and it looks like he might be doing that. He seems a bit closer. Yeah, a lot closer. So that was a good move on Kerry's part. There's definitely more wind on the east compared to the west of the course, and it's going to get a bit quiet up the top, so maybe there could be some compression. I think it's going over the top of them right now. So Kerry's doing 5.9, did 137. He's got the pedal to the metal, or the, something like that. He's saying car terms. I just got a message from Jake. Maybe Jake's going to call in. Hang on, I'm just going to check this. That ding was Jake. No, he was just responding. Jake, if you're watching this, give me a call. We need to talk to an entrant. Make it an interesting day. It's Saturday. I can waffle on a bit. So anyway, Kerry's banging along there. Let's see where he is in relation to... This is always the fascinating one. So Kerry's on 2,902. So 902, and Renault is... 650, 750, 850, 9, still 252 miles in front. So he hasn't gained anything there. But anyway, catching up to the tail enders. Josh, 51, 5. Yes. Anyway, I won't say anything. 5.1 knots and 104 mile day. So he's going to pass that one, but he's got to try and change the relative position to Renault. Okay. Ayrton, 5.9, 122 miles. If you're watching Ayrton, I'm going to send you a message in a minute. I need some dimensions off your boat, off Tracker. And so you can ring me too, Ayrton. We need to talk to someone. 5.9, 122 mile day. I should make this bigger. It'll be tiny on a screen on the phone. Jasmine, 6.1, 131. That's pretty cool. She's doing well. Eric, 5.8, 127. And Jazz has got 131. Took 4 miles out. Good on you, Jazz. Christian, trying to get up to the lead group. That's going to be interesting. I'll give you the technical definition at the moment. We might be getting a very big lead group here. 6 knots and 135 mile day. That's pretty cool. So Kerry was on 100 and, what was it? I'm losing track of this. 135. So still 2 miles on Christian, but you can see when you're a couple hundred miles behind, it takes a long time to catch up. Jacob, 5.7 and 133. Pretty good. 133 for Adam. They're locked together. 5.9. Peeler, still gaining a bit maybe. 5.7, 131. Yep, they took 2 miles out of Peeler. Catching up. And I gave you the whole lot of Peeler. 5.7, 131. Yep, Dan is 5.8 and 131. So locked in together. So Adam and Jacob, 133 and 133, took 2 miles. Got 2 miles closer. That's pretty interesting. And Renault's only 133. So they're running level pegging. So distance from Adam to Renault at 688. I'm just using the last bit. 688 versus 654, 64, 74, 84. About 35 miles behind Renault. It's not bad. So they're all enjoying this sale. There's no question about that. And what I think is happening, they're all, really racing. They're trying to hang in there. So Adam and Jacob having a grand old time there. And so compared to Peeler, 86, 686 versus 688, only 2 miles behind Peeler. Is that right? That's what it's saying, but that's I'm just checking my eyes. 686 versus 688. Yep, only a couple of miles in it. And how close are they between each other? Just to give you a relative size, 22 miles away. They're on VHF range, so they could all be chatting on the radio. Well, that's all kind of fun. That's what you get when you're racing a one design fleet, which is a lot of fun. And they've all, most of them have got reasonable sales. Although I saw, you'll see in the report, so I've got entry report, Christian had a bit of a surprise with some sales. So that's cool. Rightio, let's look at the weather then for the next 24, 48 hours. There's not much wind out to the side here. That's in fact, I like to see that for me. I'm just giving you what I like to see. There's the South Atlantic High. They're running right along the edge, which is what they're supposed to do, which is really cool. Enjoyable sailing. That's about all there is to say about that. They're having a great time. Okay, that's too big. We want to see what's going to happen in the future. Rightio, so we're coming through every few hours now. The wind's filling in. Kerry's going to get a bit of a hit from the tail end, but there's not a lot in it for the tail enders there. It's pretty much nice trades. So the wind is just going to fill in before Renault gets to that soft spot up ahead, and they've all got really nice sailing. There's the fifth. It's a couple of days. Then they're going to roll through. Could get a bit light. 3, 4, 5 by the end of the second day. Yeah, there's a little bit of softness there, maybe up the front as well. So I want to be on the left side of the course now when that comes through. So anyway, come what may, they're going to have a fantastic time. Temperatures will be getting warmer, all the rest of it. I don't think there's a lot more I can say to that. So I'm going to come back here and start the weekend waffle. It's not quite that bad. Anyway, but one of the things that's happening, we mentioned to everyone, the entrants, very clearly, from the time they arrived in Cape Town, to be ready when you get to St. Helena to anchor deep. You're going to need good anchor gear, you're going to need plenty of chain, all that sort of stuff, because the minimum depth for anchoring I suggested was going to be about 20 metres, and there can be rock and bits and funny stuff on the bottom, so you need chain. Few of them bought all new anchor gear. Entrant obviously did, because he cut his other stuff away when he had the tow to get back into Cape Town. The clock's just started again, so that means we're going to hold probably. So anyway, Entrant put in new anchor gear. A few of the others, Peeler bought a lot more chain, bits and pieces, but apparently some of the others haven't, and they're a bit concerned now. So planning, preparation, and execution, we have to wait and see. Conversation started with the yacht. There is a yacht club there, which I didn't even know about, but that's fine. I leave all this to the entrants. We do the major ports. Talk to people, set things up, but the pit stops, it's all part of the fun for them in some ways to coordinate. But anyway, there's now a bit of a scramble on. They're not allowed to use the moorings because they're unmaintained and they have no liability cover on it. But we've known about that for years. I sourced that out a couple of years ago. Anyway, and so they're going to have to anchor, and the locals are a bit concerned that some of the anchor gear is not good enough. So they're now running around trying to sort some anchors and chains and make up some anchor moorings, if you know what I mean. So very good of the locals there. And the local tourism has found out about the boats coming, and they're happy to do whatever. So they should be having a grand old time when they get there. Anyway, that's the story there. So now I've got entrant reports. In fact, cheapest. I hope I found the Q&A. I might have just lost it on Facebook on my phone because I need it on the phone to read it. Anyway, the entrant reports are, here we go. Urton and Christian and Josh, 4 o'clock yesterday from 6:47. I read your edits, so it's Josh. Skookum, Happy New Year, everyone. Smooth sailing for the last few days, nice breeze, calm seas, and lots of sunshine. Life is good on board, just enjoying the spectacular sailing. Fantastic. They've been out of the trades for a while, and now they're having a great time. Christian, Happy New Year, everybody. Biggest New Year's Eve party ever on Argo. Probably the first one. Ta-da! No, they had a... Where were we New Year's Eve? They were at sea last time, yeah, on the way to Lanzarote. Anyway, today trying to solve electrical problems with my outboard batteries. Suddenly a big hole in the A3 is in only approximately 12 knots of wind. So not sure what happened there. A sail that has never been exposed to sunlight when not in use. It might have a bit of use, but who knows. At least smooth and stable sailing conditions with a gentle breeze and sunshine. That's from Christian. And one from Urton. Tracker is having a relaxing journey so far, though not sure how, but rarely used A3. I have managed to damage it pretty badly. Life is good. There you go. So that's 2 A3s. Boom, boom. So maybe their time's up. anyway, kind of interesting. And that's it there. Now, I'll come to the questions in a minute. Keep your fingers crossed. Oh, bloody hell. I've lost it again. Okay, so I've got to scroll it down in a minute, but I'll just say Happy New Year to everyone that's here. And then now, while we're running live, so there's only a few people there, so I'm going to quickly scroll through to find the Q&A again. Oh, here we are. How did that happen? That's pretty cool. Okay, so this goes back to the 26th of November. So if you're not interested in the answer to questions or what questions are, you can bugger off. And for those that sent the questions, they'll possibly see this later on and come and turn on and get their answers. Okay, question here. First of all, I've got to get onto all the questions. That's most relevant. I need all the comments. Okay, Robert Nisbet. Robert, what do the entrants do with their rubbish during a passage once reaching a port? Okay, all the rubbish, the only thing they chuck over the side is food, right? If they had a little bit of completely biodegradable stuff like paper or something like that, then that's still legal. As long as they take it off into small pieces. You can't throw the newspaper over the side. You've got to rip it all up into little pieces, stay up and biodegrade. But generally, everything's kept on board. Once reaching port, it goes into the normal waste. If there's recycling available, it would be recycled, but a lot of the places they go to, there's no recycling. Okay, please deal with each category of rubbish separately. Okay, well, paper can go over the side. Cardboard can go over the side if you rip it up into small pieces, and as long as it's not laminate. Oh, here comes Entrant. Hang on a sec. Bloody hell. These questions might be a while. Hang on. Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Hang on. I got to turn this around. So you obviously saw my tracker update. Hang on.
I've been watching it, but I've been watching it, so you did all the important stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Just let me turn the volume up. Oh, jeepers! Now your video shrunk. Why did that happen? Ah, bloody hell. Here we go. Back again. Hang on. Stand by. I'm just turning this up.
Take your time.
No, I got it. I wonder if you come up on that one. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I've never done it this way, but it goes good. So what's happening with you, Ayrton? It all looks pretty stressful out there at the moment.
Well, it
Then
is.
glare.
I woke up at about 4 o'clock and I went down from A5 to A7. And wind picked up and I went back to sleep and I woke up at 7:30 this morning.
It sounds very civilized.
It's very civilized. Just had breakfast and the boat is doing good speed. I mean, must be nearly 6 knots. It feels like. So we are doing well. Plenty of winds and with just the A7 basically.
So I just missed that when I was juggling the phone. Did you say you were doing 7-8 knots earlier today?
No. I am doing almost 6 knots, so the boat is going well on its own with just the A7.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I got to say, it looks very pleasant. We've all forgotten about the trade wind sailing. You know, it gets boring after a few months, but when you haven't had it for a while, it's pretty nice, eh?
Well, I am not bored at all. I will take this kind of weather all the way home. This is just fabulous, really. I think it is just so very nice to be able to do lots of things on the boat and relax and sleep and have daily showers and so on. And so life on board is really good, I must say, so far.
Hang on, you're meant to be an adventurer with a knife in your teeth and the bloody, this is really solo sailing around the world, you know?
No, it is not like that. People mustn't think like that. The life is largely very nice going around the world.
Yeah.
Occasionally you get better, but if the weather was bad all the time, nobody would go sailing.
Yeah. So how was your New Year? How was the dreams for the future? What was your New Year's resolution?
Well, I rarely stay up till midnight and New Year's night. I'm often asleep by 10, so it was no different for me. I went to sleep well before midnight, and when I woke up, it was same as any other day, really. I think it's a New Year's Day for all of us every day on this trip.
Yeah. I because the world's in such a mess, it's amazing. I just can't get over the fact how lucky we are. You know, it's just unreal.
I too read the news every day, whether it's UK or Europe or America or Australia. I read all the news and what happened in Switzerland, the fire. You hear these things, and obviously when you read it, you feel very bad about what happens. The most wonderful circumstances sometimes, like it happened in Switzerland, fire for the young people.
Yeah.
So we must be grateful and happy and how fortunate we are every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't get over it. But anyway, that's fine. All right. Well, seeing there's no rage, I've got to be careful what I say. No raging storms, no, total dramas. Everything's working on board. The wind vane's working. The food's good. The hospitality's good. Life's okay for you.
Well, I mean, it is. And every day I look at your reports for the weather. I don't even need to check the weather because you've already given it to me for the next day or two. So I sort of don't have to worry about anything really because I think the weather's going to be like this hopefully all the way home.
Yeah. I keep thinking of remember the French guy in the little 4-meter boat, Balchion. He sailed around the world. He went overland in South Africa, but I was used to be watching him, and I thought, wow, this is crazy, But he really enjoyed these legs as well. So, and Graham will tell you, if Graham Cox is watching this, he'll tell you the same thing. This is supposed to be a good one. So anyway, enjoy the ride.
Well, I think we are all, every one of us, enjoying this weather system, and I don't think anybody's complaining about anything.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a good time to look back and think about everything that's gone by in the last year. It's been amazing. And think about the next year.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Well, this year, actually, I mean, we just started the beginning of the 2026, so we have to arrange something for the 2026 because this is going to come to end before we know it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I'm busy now, so you're just relaxing, but I've got a lot of work to do, so bugger off. Okay. Thanks for calling, Ayrton. Yep. Have a good one, eh? Yep. See ya. Bye-bye. Okay. Well, that was fun. So at least someone's watching this tracker update. So that's kind of cool. Now I've got to hope I can find this page on Facebook. Is it still there? No, bugger. Every time I go off it, keep your fingers crossed. Oh, it's still there. Fantastic. Okay. All right. So the rubbish, the plastic, what we usually do and what we suggest people, they keep a water bottle, like one of the 5-litre water bottles, and you keep squashing your plastic inside the water bottle with a stick, just stuff it in, and then just put the cap on the bottle. So a lot of the, plastic wrappings and stuff, leftover vegetables and so on, that you can chuck that over the side. They don't have a lot of fresh fruit, and they eat it all anyway, but like peelings from orange or something like that, it's all biodegradable. That's legal. And even any food scraps under IMO, you just have to, if you're on a ship, you've got to push it through a 1 inch by 1 inch mesh, so that there's no bits of food bigger than 1 inch, and that's able to be dumped as well. Human waste is completely biodegradable, so that's no drama at all. Would it be legal to sail a float in the Mediterranean inland canals if feces was simply thrown overboard? No, not. You'd have to check the regulations, but everywhere, I doubt. In fact, there was a protest or someone was complaining about, human feces dumping into canals. I would say would not be kosher, and you can't just drop it in any, coastal area. You've got to be offshore, a few miles offshore, and you've got to be moving at minimum speed when you dump anything. If you're at sea, then you've got a holding tank on your vessel. I don't want to go into all the IMO stuff, but you are allowed to dump it in the sea, but you've got to be a certain distance offshore. You've got to be moving at a certain rate, and you've got to outflow, not too bad as well. So it's interesting, but that human waste in low concentration. So not if you've got a cruise ship and you just dump it. That doesn't happen. They got to basically, cruise ships and things like that, they're supposed to get it back to as just about ready to drink, just about, not quite, and then they're allowed to dump it in a certain way. So but there's plenty online. So Robert, if you're interested, then just Google it and you'll see all the regulations on what you can and can't do. Okay, Warren, what if any improvements to the event are you changing after the experience of this one? In fact, there may be some major ones. Right now, you're about to get some breaking news here. But we've already mentioned some things, and I've got to respond to one of the builders at the moment. I mean, there's going to be backrests on the settees. inside the boat are going to be mandatory, right? You're going to have to put the plywood backrest there. We're about to release the specification of all that. There'll be an Entrant update coming out. So that's on a class issue. Here comes the bombshell. I don't know whether I should talk about it first, but anyway, there is a discussion going on about the rudders. I haven't spoken to Giannis about it yet, but I will. And I'm not suggesting for a minute that we're going to do anything with the rudders, but I've always said we like what we've got. It's a simple rudder. There will never be twin rudders, so forget about that. But I've always said once we get through the first MGR, we will have some real world experience about what's going on, and that's in the context that even racing across the Atlantic or sailing across the Atlantic is substantial for everyone. It's a big deal, but certainly sailing around the world, the current entrants, 11 sailors that are going around, have got a huge amount of experience on the boat, and so we'll be sitting down and talking about all sorts of aspects at the big debrief when we're in Antigua. And one of those for sure will be about the rudder. That's all I'll say at the moment. Then there is stopovers, legs and bits and pieces. That's all going to change, okay? Not dramatically, but we've learned a lot on the way through. The fleet is moving much faster than I have expected. The fleet, if I had to say, well, our passage planning was set at 100 nautical miles a day. And that was based on Transat experience for planning of the MGR and also not wanting to go too fast, right, in the planning. So we said, right, 100 miles a day. As it turns out now, I would consider the average fleet speed for the MGR at 110 miles a day. I could push that to 115 miles a day, but there's some people like Josh and Ayrton and so on that probably aren't going to be up there. We've got to think of the slower end of the fleet for your planning. So it'll be replanned again at 110 miles a day, even though the leaders are doing 130, 135 mile days on, 6,000 mile voyages. It's quite impressive. So that allows a new plan on the stopovers. Everyone was pretty keen to have the lifestyle experience of Darwin, right? So it may be that in 29 we may be stopping in Darwin, possibly into Thursday Island first for a couple of days, and Darwin, whatever. We will no doubt start a conversation about a full stop leg in Mauritius. That's pretty clearly the way to go to manage the weather. And we will no doubt be talking more with Recife on what we do. We are having a logistics stop there. It's not really a full stop leg situation, but based on what happens there, we may consider that as being a leg again. That was original planning, but for various things, there's changes there. And some of the timelines, we may do a full stop in Tahiti. Not sure yet. In Papeete, it's very expensive there. It's hard because all the cruising boats are there. So there's all these sorts of things. But generally, it'll be pretty much the same thing. It'll obviously, we love Antigua. We love everything about it. We love the people there. We love the Sailing Academy, Alison, all our friends. So it's a start and finish. It's actually Antigua's round the world race. That takes a bit of absorbing, but it's pretty impressive that Antigua's got the got their own round the world race. That's massive, and so that's good. So a lot of those little things as well. But we won't be doing. There's no way we're going to do a massive restart legs everywhere. So there could be a restart in Tahiti. There could be a restart in Mauritius. There could be a full restart in Recife. But that's about it. The rest of it all worked really well. Finish, location, legs. Sail durability, we're actually already discussing a second set of sails for the class. The sail sizes and shapes and everything won't change. We've settled on that. There'll only ever be 3 asymmetrics, and the other sails are there. But then we will be developing we'll call the standard sails as they are now. Then there'll be an MGR version of the sail. There'll be an MGR main sail, and there'll be an MGR asymmetrics as well, some heavier ones. Same size, same cut, everything, but the cloth may be different. And the cloth for the MGR mainsail, for instance, could have some exotics in it, might have some Spectra in it, longer life, better UV, all that sort of stuff. So, and they'll obviously cost more, and so you'll have a choice. You can race a Transat with the MGR mainsail, or you can race a Transat with the existing standard one, which is quite a good sail. So there'll be basically two versions. Permanent logos on the hull are suggesting easy hooks and bungee attachments for logo lee cloths. No, we already done that. When we give people the lee cloths, I'm not going to dictate to them, but certainly we're going to be a lot stricter next time, believe me, because people are just. I said they have to be set up with bungee cord, with shock cord, which allows a stretch a little bit, and we've said they've got to be tidy, right? They've got to be a good look. And some people don't care; they just hang them on as long as they're hanging there. They bloody blah blah blah. But we're going to be on top of that. I'm not worried about it now, and we'll be super strict from day one because everyone knows that yachts have been fined for not complying to the rule there. So everyone will know for the Transat, you don't get caught out. It'll cost you €250 every time, and that's €250 for lee cloths and €250 for flags. So if you get it wrong, it's €500. Okay, and it's not because we want to promote McIntyre. We want to promote a sponsor, and hopefully we'll get a sponsor. But anyway, so and putting hooks on, it's a no-brainer. They come up and down, and they all complain about, not all, some complain about, it's such a big effort to put it on. Just do it once as part of your planning. Have bungee cords with hooks, and just go dunk, 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 dunk. It's done, right? And we'll probably, some people are putting them in midships rather than back in the cockpit. I understand where that's coming from, but I don't know whether it's a good idea. So we'll be looking at all those issues as well. So anyway, lots of questions there. John, when is the start of leg 4? Well, it's already started, so sorry, mate. And yes, it's a mass restart. So hang on. Yeah, so this is actually leg 4, but we call it leg 3.5. So Robert, thanks for the daily update. I was wondering how much it would cost apart from the expense of the boat going around the world. If you have an idea, I hope it's not a silly question. No, it's not a silly question. Everyone wants to know. There's no easy, simple answer because, if I took a guy like Entrant, he's coming at the event from a different perspective. And so as soon as he gets in, if he can get into a hotel, he immediately checks into a hotel. And, they're not extravagant hotels, but still cost more than living on your boat. Others will live on their boat. Like Jacob, that's his home, that's where he lives. So he doesn't have to go anywhere. And some of the others are the same as well on the low budgets. Josh is not often going into a hotel, but others will. And then, when they get there, some are going on safaris, some are going on, major holidays, flying to other destinations, flying back home, all this sort of stuff. So the budgets vary, and you can work it out yourself. You've got to buy food for a year or more. You've got to have somewhere to live. You've got your boat to live on, and you can live on your boat every spot we go. And then it's up to you how much you want to spend. So and then the berthing fees, the marinas vary. Some of them are for free, but usually you've got to pay. It was about €15 a day, I think it is, in Cape Town. Some of the others are, a couple hundred a week. When in the ports, the anchorage is obviously free. Then clearances, that varies. A clearance into a new country and coming out again can vary anywhere between like €500 to €1,000, I suppose, in and out. That can vary, so you've got to pick that up. Then you've got, if you want Starlink, Erton's probably the heaviest user of Starlink, and he's paying sometimes €500 a month, because he's just streaming all the time. Others are paying the standard price, and you get a certain amount of data for your fee, and that can vary. I think the standard roaming fee, like Ocean Marine fee, is a couple hundred a month or 150. Just do your Google, they'll tell you how much it costs, and so you can work out your own budget, and then just add that, multiply it around. But I would say most are spending probably 10 grand or so. It'd be hard to go around without spending 10 grand for 13 months or something. So just do your own list, add it all up, and you'll see what it's costing. It's not cheap, but life's not cheap. If you were living at home for 13 months, work out how much you're going to spend on, running the car, paying your rent, buying your food, going out to dinner, all that sort of stuff. it's cheaper than living if you work it out that way, because you're not going to live for free wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and this is just a new mode of adventure. So, and there's a big advantage. Those that are buying boats now don't have to work of the. You can work for 2 years. So don't build your boat. Just go to work and save all your money, right, as if you were working for yourself, and then you can go buy a boat. It's cheaper than building, but there's a lot of people like the idea of building. But over time, I've seen this happen before. With various boats, they've ended up with 1,000 boats, but eventually no one's building anymore because there's plenty of boats to buy. The only ones that build is someone that wants a piece of furniture and likes the idea of building a boat. So at the moment, we're pretty much in the thick of it. We've got a lot of builders. We've got more people buying plans every week. People come along, and so yeah, a lot of discussions there about why people do this, and life costs money. There's no doubt about it. So some people complain, it was meant to be cheap. I was meant to build the boat for 10 grand. It's only going to cost me 500 to do the event. That was never the case. And we try to keep costs down. So there you go. Hope that answers the question. Robert again. MGR yachts do not seem to have had any significant problems with barnacles, algae growth on the hull in comparison to previous GGR yachts. Why is this? In addition, please specify what the anti-fouling has been applied on each current MGR yacht. I can't do that. It all varies. They've all got different bits and pieces, but for the type of paint, and we don't have the time to do the thing, and I tried to get the Entrants to do a safety survey. Not everyone even did that. It would have taken them less than 10 minutes or 10 or 15 minutes to answer those surveys, but they're all busy. But anyway, the GGR, you're sailing down through potential clouds of the little spores of the barnacles, and if you sail through one of those clouds, they're all going to jump on. A lot of cruising yachts will end up on the Caribbean, and they'll have a lot of goose barnacles on their hull. When I went across, I was using Plastimo anti-fouling, and I was the cleanest boat. That was back in 21. I had no barnacles at all. The others were using normal other brand anti-foulings. They had goose barnacles on their boat. So, but they're also slipping regularly and cleaning the hulls regularly, which costs as well. Most of them, they all slipped in Panama because they're coming out of the water anyway. So they did Panama, having come across the Atlantic. So that was the first one. They virtually all came out in Fiji as well to do the same, check the bottom, paint the bottom. And then they've all virtually come out again in Cape Town. So there's 3 slippings, and that should be it. So they pretty well look after the bottom as well, and they're pretty dedicated. And, Christian's using silicon anti-fouling, which is really interesting. But they're all not using anything special. They're just using bits and pieces. So hope that helps. Warren, another question. Can the 580 heave to on comfort? Is it even practical? Perhaps better to just sail slowly. Yeah, I don't know. You can set up a 580 to heave to. May not be in the traditional sense because it's a small boat, it gets knocked around, and it's a thin keel and sort of small thin keel, effectively a spade rudder, I suppose. So you just got to balance it back when you sail, put the helm across, and it'll stall. But every time I was in, the Entrant's got a lot more experience than me on this, and I know a little bit what they do. But when it blows really hard, you're better off forestalling it. You know what I mean? Just whatever main you've got up, you just stall it. Let it come out, hold it so it's not flogging, and you just drifting sideways. The storm jib is actually quite good. That can work in essence, and so there's various things you can do. So it would hove to, but why would you do it? Depends on the situation, I don't know whether it's an appropriate answer, but I've never heaved to. I'm not a big fan of heaving to because I try not to get in situations where you haven't got a lot of sea room and you just run before it or let it drift or whatever, and you've got to be careful heaving to in big weather, big seas, because you can get knocked down and things like that as well. But it's not too bad. There's so many variables there. It's hard to give you a clean answer. But yes, it should be able to heave to. But yeah, I don't think I've given a good answer for that. But there you go. Okay, John, are you going to get a chance to see Kirsten? I missed Kirsten actually. She was there working on a boat, and we were trying to get together, but she ended up having to fly back, so I missed her by a day. Jeremy, yeah, we caught up with Jeremy. He was there for Christmas party and we had a barbie down at Simonstown, so that was good. Rachel, you got too many questions, Rachel, but I'll answer the first couple. Is the whole journey from Fiji to Cape Town purely to be calculated on actual time at sea? Yeah, all the races, just time at sea. It's all sea time, and that's who's going to win the thing. What's been your own proudest moment to date on the event, and how many of the current fleet do you think might go to the GGR OGR in future? Proudest moment is every time they get further along the road. I was very proud to see them all in Cape Town. I think they were very proud as well. I asked them that specific question. We will get an emotion interview up today. We've been busy relaxing to a degree, but busy also. But we've got them all there, and we're going to get them up running from today onwards on that. We had a computer problem as well, and they're interesting to read about. But they're all very proud of what they've done. OGR and GGR in the future. I know a few of them are really seriously looking at GGR for the future. And OGR, yeah, watch your space. There's a possibility for maybe the skipper of an OGR boat coming out of this fleet, but who knows? So being only 30 and a bit, would you ever consider doing the MGR yourself? Yeah, absolutely. Whilst it was never in the planning, a few months before the start, and my life is crazy at the moment, and it's all self-inflicted. I thought, jeepers, it'd be so good just to sail around the world in a 580. I know the boat's capable, and I know the course. Haven't sailed half the course, but I know the areas really quite well. And I just sort of thought, oh, it'd be just a fantastic experience. So, if you're watching this, if you're ever inclined to look for something to do, if you've got the time, you don't need a lot of money now. You can build a boat. And I say that there's something different here about building the boat. If you just say, if you had to build the boat as a tool to do the MGR, you've got to spend a lot of time building your boat. And that time is money. It sounds funny, simple equation. But if you don't have to spend your time building the boat and you spend your time working, so if you went to a mining camp and worked for a year in a mining camp, you're going to have $100,000. You can buy your boat for 40, 50. Voila, you're in. So there's no excuses now. If you really want to do something crazy, go to work, earn some money, buy a boat, and get ready. It's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Okay, given so many of the fleet are experiencing so many issues with their sales for future MGRs, will you allow extra one or two? No, we'll only ever have 7 sales, but there will be an MGR version of the sales. So that's cool. The other one we're doing is we're restricting the number of autopilots. So I've been watching what's happening, and some of the entrants are going through 5 and 6 electric autopilots. The boat's never been designed to race around the world with autopilots. Okay. And now it's become a tactical thing. Well, if you're buying six autopilots at $400 or $500 each, there goes another $3,000, and they're burning out because they're obviously you can sail a straight line with an autopilot, but that's not the essence. The boat's designed to sail under wind vane. That's part of the deal. That's part of the reason the rudders are why they are as well. Long story, but anyway, it's part of the philosophy of what you do, and it's the way you sail the boat around the world. So when I started hearing that, everyone going through autopilots, blah, 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 I said, oh, we'll can that. So they'll get probably 2 autopilots to do the whole race around the world, okay? And then you put a new autopilot on board, even though it only costs you $500, it might cost you 24-hour time penalty. And so you see what happens. The guys at the top that are running autopilots and chewing them up, they got to think about, maybe we can't do that anymore. It might be better off hand steering or actually steering slower and look after the wind vane and let the wind vane steer, because that's the philosophy. I'm trying to cap that, and it creates challenges with the outboards as well, because we need bigger outboards. So we'll never have petrol outboards on the boat. So even though the entrants hate them, right? If we had petrol outboards on the boat, Kerry would be happy because no one would be allowed to motor. But that's not the part of it either. I like the idea of electric outboards, right? And I like the idea that the boat doesn't need a motor, right? You don't have to sail around the world with the motor. You could sail all the way around the world without a motor, but you need a motor when you're coming in and out of tricky ports. And the whole idea of letting them use their motor is to put the motor under stress and look after them and treat them properly, not leave them on the back of the boat sailing all the way across the Atlantic. I mean, I couldn't believe that. No outboard's designed for that, just sitting there in the weather. But anyway, that's life. They're all learning. And so the philosophy is that the change there will be that we'll allow electric motors up to 2,000 watt. Okay. So it could be minimum 1,000, maximum 2,000, because there are 2,000 watt outboards coming now. They're available now. And if you have an outboard, I've got to work out the limit of this, but if it's a 1,000 watt outboard, you're allowed to carry 2 proprietary batteries, right? Because they're not huge, and it means you can juggle them. But if you go over a certain wattage, and it might be like 1,300 watt or something, if you get up to 1,300 watt, the batteries on those bigger motors get bigger, and you'll be restricted to 1 battery. So if you've got a 2,000 watt motor, all you're going to get is 1 battery, right? And you've got to still juggle it. And so leaving it as a tactical advantage is just not a big deal. It's not rocket science. You can't motor forever with the thing, and it's kind of interesting. It makes them use the motor, and it's part of the tactical equation. So whilst I'm admirable for Jacob when he was saying, "Oh, I'm not going to motor anymore," blah blah blah, that's fine. And same with Kerry, that's fine. But the rules of the race say you can use your motor. Now, if you wanted to sail around the world single-handed and go for a record, like the shortest time to sail around the world solo non-stop in a particular class, guess what? You can use your motor, right? That's the way it's always been. Because you can only carry so much fuel. And in the first Golden Globe race, Robert Knox-Johnson loaded the boat with as much fuel as he could take to motor through the doldrums. It's been allowed forever, right? But then his motor seized up, unfortunately, so he could never use it. So he had all that fuel on board all the way around. And all the people that I know have gone out and break records. They fill up with fuel, and you can use the fuel. So in the GGR, in the past, you were allowed to use your fuel. In the first edition, we did. But then, for environmental reasons, we changed that rule. And so now there's a huge fuel penalty for anyone that uses fuel in the GGR. In fact, the GGR doesn't know it yet, but I've just changed the rule. They've been thinking they're getting 30 litres of fuel to go all the way around the world. Every litre they use over 30 litres, they get a so many hour time penalty of their finish time. I've actually increased that to 40 litres. So if there's any GGR interest listening and they heard that, they're going to be screaming and hooting, because I did the numbers on that, and you need to run the motor a certain amount of time every week, because they're going to be out there for 8 weeks. Otherwise, you're going to seize your motor. So I'm allowing them. They don't know that yet. Shh. GGR entrants, you're going to get 40 litres for free, and it's the same in the OGR. I couldn't believe it when Explorer went around the world in the OGR. In the OGR, he used so much fuel; it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. Running fridges and freezers and desalinators and all this stuff, and other entrants, having hot showers every day with all the stuff. And I said, that's rhubarb. This is meant to be the Whitbread. So we knocked that on the head. So they'll get a restriction on the fuel and a big fuel penalty as well. So it brings in the whole issue of sustainability and the environment in the real world today. So we don't want people motoring around the world. But electric motors, you can't motor all the way around the world, blah, blah, blah. So that's my philosophy. That won't change, and then if an entrant decides they want to sail and be a purist, that's fine. But one thing that will change, and I just realised this, under the notice of race for the MGR and also the MGR and also the Transat, you must have your motor on the transom of the boat when you leave the dock. You must show the ability to be able to motor to the start line, okay? And you won't be able to remove your outboard, right, until the 10-minute gun, because you may need to use your motor prior to the 10-minute gun, right? So there's going to be a new rule. I thought about that quite a bit. I can see the theory, this, that, and the other. In fact, I did it myself. When I left on the Transat, I actually motored out, and then I took my engine off. In fact, I may change that. I took my engine off well before the start, put it in the bag, took the battery off, put it in the bag. I had a bag for the battery, stowed it down below, tied it up while I was out sailing, okay, before the start. and then so I don't have to worry about it because I'm about to start sailing. I'm not going to use my motor across across the Atlantic, no matter what. If I did, it was flat calm, and I was becalmed plenty of times. I had fantastic. There was one spot there I was completely glass out for 2.5 days. It was unbelievable. I just decided to enjoy it. I was in a bad position and blah blah blah, but I didn't even think about bringing the motor out because what's the point, Blah blah blah. So in hindsight, and then I thought, okay, well, we've got to get over this. We don't want people having to sail away or this, that, and the other from starts because they may need to use their motor to assist someone or do whatever. And so it'll be a situation where you must leave the marina with the outboard on the back of the boat because you've got to show that you can motor. You've got to have a motor. And rather than 10-minute gun, I might say motors must remain on the transom up until 15 minutes before the start. So that'll be a new rule. Oh, why am I seeing a funny... Jane, I hope everyone's listening to this. It must be because there's people there. I've got a funny thing there. Start the video. Anyway, I hope you're still... It must be because people are still there. Anyway, that's it. So that's the last questions. I think we spoke about the anchoring, did the thing. Yep. God, it's 3/4 of an hour. Bloody hell. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. So have a good weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow, even though it's trade winds, so it'll all be blah, blah, more the same, but who knows what. So thanks for following on. Like and share and do all those sorts of things. And, keep thinking about the rest of the people in the world. And I won't say any more about it, but we're all very, very lucky. See you later.